Okay, so I just want to talk about why crypto. So and I want to talk about like from the first kind of principle, like what is money. So to put it short, money is basically a database, right? It's a transaction. It's a more like a records of things like who owns what. Like A owns this, B owns this, C owns this, D owns this. See, just imagine if you go back like, I don't know, like 2,000, 3,000 years ago, right? When there's no money yet invented, right? But people already like working, right? There's already like people like working as a farmer, working as a, agriculture, right? Like um, raising like uh, crops or rice or corns, right? So there are already like basically products or services being generated by society, right? In the old days, right? So for example, I have chicken, I have eggs from the chicken. Some of my friends have they raise goats. Some of my neighbor has cow's meat, right? Some of my neighbors has like become an ironsmith, right? By producing like iron, right? So basically, kind of everybody has their own like uh, livelihood, right? But there's no money. So, and then, so the barter system, right? So let's say my neighbor wants some of my egg, right? So they will ask me, hey, can I get some of your eggs? Sure, but I need to like, I don't just give it away, right? I would have to like, okay, what's in it for me because I already put my hard work, right, and stuff, right, on raising the chicken and like, so okay, and then so probably if my neighbor, let's say he's raising meat, for example, beef, and then at that uh, uh, moment in time when my neighbor asks me for an egg, then I have the need to have beef, for example, right? Then probably I could say, okay, why don't we just do barter, right? Well, okay, you can have, let's say I have 10 of my eggs. Why don't you give me like 1 kilogram of your, the meat beef, right? And then probably we negotiate that. Oh no 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 no! Why don't make it like instead of 10 like 9 or like 8? Okay, so, and then we settle on the whatever the barter of that thing is, right? Say for 8 eggs I get 1 kilogram of beef. Okay, done. But that's a coincidence, right? There are I think more moments that where I don't have any need for anything, right? So when they come to me and then they want to say, hey, I need another 12 eggs because the egg is running out, whatever, right? So, okay, I don't need anything from you. Okay, so what can I do? So, okay, why don't I just like write it down, right? How much you owe or how much like you got from me. So I'll just write it down. Okay, so let's say John got 10 eggs at this date, right? So that's like a records, right? That's what I mean by database, or that's what some people call it like a ledger, right? And then like and then the same thing as me when I need like some meat from my neighbor, or it's like I don't know, like a goat from my other neighbor, or like some service of making my like a knife for I don't know ironing whatever, right? They will also like have their own ledger. Okay, so Danny like owns like one knife, owns like one service of to make an like a ironsmith's service, whatever. Then he owns like I don't know, like 1 kilogram of gold, right? So everybody like kind of in a society, like you could imagine, have their own ledger, right? And then there comes like a brilliant idea, like because well, this is not like not very efficient, right? Like everybody have their own ledger and then has to keep on like track of things, right? So some probably clever dude or some like I don't know, like people discussing why don't we invent a new system, like okay, like why don't we use this, for example, oh why don't we use this thing like shell, for example, as to represent like who owes what, like as you know, or yeah, who owes what. or how much is your thing be valuable in the society. So everybody kind of agree, it's like have consensus, right? Okay, well, we use shell, and then the shell has to be like a certain shape, for example, whatever, right? Right. So, and then that's how the currency is born. The shell is like the currency back then, right? In the olden days. And then so when the next time my neighbor come, like John comes and then asks me, hey, can I get 10x? And then I say, okay, sure, but let's use a new system. Instead of putting up a ledger, this like painstaking, like I have to write down everything. Okay, why don't we use let's say 10 shell? Okay, so say 10x 10 shell. I'll just throw it in the air, and then John will think, oh, 10 shell. Oh, but I just like got it from that guy. The beef. The beef I can get like a with 10 shell. I can get like a 10 kilograms. So it doesn't make sense like yours is like 10 shell, because I think beef is takes more hard work. Blah blah blah. So basically you kind of negotiate, and then at the end, okay, fine. Okay, how about like five shell for like 10 eggs, right? So that's how like I think the negotiations comes in a real economy works, and then at the end reach an equilibrium, the price, right? And then it settle on, okay, for 10 eggs we will settle at about 4 to 5 eggs, kind of, right? And then for 1 kilogram of beef we will settle for, let's say, 10 shell, right? And then for like 1 kilogram of goat meat, will settle for like 8 shell, whatever. So yeah, so that's kind of like give a background of how like the money was kind of born. And money is just a kind of, basically the fundamental of money is just a transaction of records of who owns what. A owns this, B owns this, C owns this, D owns it. Okay? Now fast forward to our era, modern era, 2000, going back now. And then just go back 50 years from now, before the internet, the pre-internet, like the 1950s, 1960s, right? What happened there? Okay, so sorry, I'll backtrack. I'll just go fast forward to the now. So why now, like people are like this crypto crazy thing, like people are using a speculation, blah blah blah. But what is crypto is? What is like the number one use case, like the fundamental, like what is like Bitcoin or Ethereum, right? So Bitcoin or Ethereum or any other, like majority of the cryptocurrency, like Litecoin and so forth, but just like Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? The two major famous currency. Fundamentally, it's basically a ledger, a database. Like A owns, like I said, A owns like 1 BTC, B owns like 0.1 BTC, C owns like 0.3 BTC. That's it. That's basically. But why do we need it? Like we have the system, like already, like the US dollars, right? Like, so, and we can transfer money like from bank to bank. So why do we need this? Well, this is gonna be a long kind of, but to make it like really short, because our system, our let's say I will call it our transaction record system, is built before the internet era, right? So what does it mean? It means every bank. So let's say we have here I'm living in the US, so we have like Chase Bank, Huntington, right? And there's so many other banks. Every bank kind of they have their own like or every like how do you say it, like bank or institutions, that financial institution has kind of their own like a database system or transaction record system, right? So like Huntington Bank has their own, Citibank has their own, Chase Bank has their own, Wells Fargo has their own. So everybody. So that's why, and and also in different countries too. That's why when for example, I want to send money to people like abroad, for example, right? And it's using what now? It's Swift standard. It takes like days to settle because let's say if I send here, right? I'm using Huntington or Chase, right? Send money to, let's say, to Philippines, whatever, right? And they're using different bank. So the money I send, let's say $1,000, it goes to a different bank from my Huntington. Probably goes to like a, so it's using like the Swift standard. Probably is using like a central bank in the Philippines, whatever, before it goes to the local bank. And each of those financial like companies or institution has their own like database system. So when they need to match the records, right? Remember, this is basically just records, right? Who owns what, right? A owns one BTC, B owns, right? They have to, when they need to settle to like match the records, right? Literally matching the records, right? It takes days because it's not in one system. So it's like, remember, the story the first time when we go back 2000 years ago, like everybody in my neighbor has their own like ledger transaction record, right? For me, I'm an egg producer. I have my own records, right? John like owes me like 10 eggs. Susan owes me like 6 eggs, right? And then the goat manufacturers, they have their own records too. And then the cow beef have their own records too, right? So it's like that. It's precisely like that. So when I want to, for example, to like to transact like kind of in between this party, I have to match the database, with my neighbor, with John, with Susan, with whoever, right? Who has the records? Because I need to kind of, how do I say it? I have to match it. I have to like tally, and to make sure that the person who sends the money and the guy who receive it, really, the person who first really has it and has to update the record, right? So if I send like $1,000, then they have to update my records. Okay, so if Danny used to have like 10,000, if he sent like 1,000, then Danny should have only 9,000. But it's only not happening on the, let's say, not in this database, on this, like if I use Chase, but it's also should happen also in the other database, kind of, right? Because the other party is going to receive that money too. So it's like that. So basically the settlement, because it's a different, like very siloed, they have to settle, they have to do settlement in between this like separate kind of ledgers, separate database. And that takes time, right? So crypto solved that. So imagine crypto is like a parallel monetary system or parallel transaction record system, right? You can call it, which is public, which means like public means it's not private, it's not siloed, right? Everybody can use it, right, in the whole world. So like Bitcoin network, Ethereum network, everybody can just use that network. So because it's in one like database, kind of one, I say quote, database, because it's kind of decentralized, but okay, for the time being, make it simple. The settlement happens like instantaneously. Like, so like Ethereum, if I have Ethereum, let's say, if I want to send Ethereum to somebody in Africa or somebody in Indonesia, right? The settlement happens only in seconds. In Ethereum, it's probably like 1 minute, or in minutes, like 1 minute or 2 minutes, right? In Bitcoin, it's about like 15 minutes, something like that, right? It's kind of slower. So that are the reasons. So one is fast, right? Really fast. It's like probably, I don't know, from 5 days to like 5 minutes. What is that? 1,000x faster, or 10,000, or even like 1 million? I don't know. Yeah, you have to do the math on that. But it's so much faster. It's just astronomically faster, right? The settlement, right? Two, I can send it to anybody in the whole world, really, really easily. So if I have like Ethereum or Bitcoin, I can send it to anybody, like 200 people, with with um, with the current system that we have right now, with bank account, for example. If I have, let's say, I don't know, $1 million in chips, right? And then I want to send it to, let's say to 10 people all across like the whole world. One in Indonesia, one in Philippines, one in Tanzania, one in Australia, one in Germany, one in like Finlandia, one in Denmark, Swedish, Switzerland, whatever, China, right? It's kind of impossible to do that, to be honest. Like, the bank will ask you tons of questions. I think I never done that, like, to be honest. But from what I heard, the bank's gonna ask you tons of questions. Why would you send this, like, right? Even within the U.S. like that, if you want to send instantly to many people, I never, yeah, it's, yeah, so crypto enables that, like, one too many, like, really fast. The other thing, so that's one, like, fast settlement, right? It's like 1,000, 10,000x faster. And then one too many, also, like, no question asked. You can just boom, right? Send it to everybody all around the world. And then three, I think, is enables to kind of like fund. If you have an idea, like, let's say the Ethereum, we use the example of the Ethereum network. You want to build a company. Instead of doing the old way of fundraising, like, that's right, yeah, right. You have to do sales and marketing. You have to, like, you have to, like, I don't know, do a lot of, like, things, like, through, for example, through VCs, right? If you want, like, doing a tech startup, venture capitalist is gonna have to fund you. But in Ethereum, it's like you can fund it easily. It's like open internationally, just like that, right? Anybody in the whole world can buy if they believe in the Ethereum is like a project. It's kind of startup, right? Tech startup. So it's Bitcoin, so it's the other currency, kind of, right? Ethereum is more kind of tech startup than Bitcoin. That's a separate kind of story, but everybody in the whole world can just fund it, right? Can just buy it, right? Instantly, right? Can participate, and 24/7. Bank is like 5 days in a week, and it's only open to close like 9 to 5, right? Or 10 to 5, right? So yeah, so those three, right? So much faster in settlement, like 1,000 million x, whatever faster. One too many, like, there's boom, just you can, like, send to one too many people. And three, it's like the ability to fund a startup or a tech company or whatever company instantly, kind of, all across the world. Who believes in you? There's no there's no, like, limitation of jurisdiction, right? Like before this, if you want to invest in Amazon, you have to be in the US, right? If you want to invest in Google, you have to be in the US citizen, and blah, 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 right? There's so many requirements, right? And then that has to do with, again, the know your customer thing, right? So crypto enables everybody who has brain, kind of like wants to think on their own, and not to be impeded by all of this regulation by by the government. I'm not saying that regulation is bad, no, but I'm just saying regulation has pros and cons, right? So with crypto, there's nobody stopping you, right, to invest to whatever crypto companies in the whole world that you believe in, as long probably you do the research, right? You have the laptop and you have the Wi-Fi, boom. But before that, you have to be privileged to invest in Google, to invest in Amazon, to invest in, like, even Tesla. Even now, like, I want to invest in SpaceX, but I couldn't because I'm not an accredited like investor in the US, right? I have to reach like, I don't know, like $10 million like net worth, whatever. So I cannot invest in SpaceX, although I believe in SpaceX. That's how like the regulation like puts me down, right? Although although I've done my research, I believe in the company, I believe in the tech, but I cannot invest. So that's like a bummer. Imagine if like SpaceX is funded by crypto. Boom, right? You can invest in like so those are like, yeah, the four benefits of crypto, like settlement really, really fast, right? One to many transactions, or even many to one, right? Three is I forgot. The ability to fundraise all across the world, 24/7. No KYC, no this regulation that doesn't make sense, right? Yeah, uh, and then I think this is the most major thing that's really, really important. See, before the internet, uh, the majority of the economy, or all of the economy, you could say, it's happening on the real world, right? In the physical world. But after the internet is born, right? Amazon is born, Google is born, Facebook is born, right? And then now we have virtual reality, we have augmented reality, right? Apple is like one of the biggest company in the world, and we spend like, I don't know, many people spend like their waking hours in the internet, in the digital world. So before, the economy is like happening in a physical world. Now more and more the economy is happening in the digital world, right? So especially during this crazy COVID, right? This past 1 year, it just accelerates everything that the economy is happening in the digital world. And this is why we need kind of like a native currency that's born for the internet, that settles like almost instantly, right? Because it makes sense. If more demand and supply is happening in this new world, digital world, and I think this is not like the end of the digital world. It is going to be more and more like crazy happening, right? With the virtual reality, with augmented reality, so, and then with robotics is going to take place. Can you imagine like one day? I don't know if you guys like watch this movie, The Ready Player One, right? You just put on this goggle like Oculus Quest, whatever, right? Like from Facebook, and then you can like control, right? So you live in that digital world, you play in the digital world, right? The economy is happening there, right? You create stuff in the digital world, you sell stuff in the digital world. So basically the economy is happening there in the digital world. And then not only that, using that VR, right? You can actually activate your avatar, your kind of like your robots on the other parts of the world, right? That's like totally remote from you. Like you live here, let's say in the US, and then you're operating robots, let's say in China, Indonesia, in the Philippines, in Switzerland, whatever, right? Doing something or attending like meetings or even cooking, right? So and that's like happening. It also like already happening like in like, for example, in the healthcare, where doctor is using like a robot surgery arms to do stuff. So it's not too far-fetched to imagine that you put this goggle and then you have robot somewhere, your avatar, that control the physical world, right? And then you're just in your home. You don't even you're just still in your pajamas or something, right? Yeah, so then the more you don't really need like to be there, to be physically there, right? Yeah, so I think this digital, like living in the digital world, is going to be more and more like going up instead of going down. And because of that, crypto, I think we need crypto as a currency, because the economy is happening there, right? And the old currency is not just going to do it, right? It's not good enough. We need this more new currency that's faster, it's more like efficient and everything, right? And why I think it's like inevitable, people live in a digital world? Because I see one. People are lazy. People love to do something fast, right? If they want to do something, they want to get it done, right? Boom. Because why? Because time is precious, right? Time is the only thing that you cannot buy. No matter how much money you have, right? No matter if you're Bill Gates or like billionaires, you cannot buy back time, right? If you lose that time, well, at least for now, okay, unless somebody can invent like a time machine, right? So if time is the most precious thing right now in the whole world, you cannot buy it, even though you are rich like fuck, right? Like crazy. This is why people love to spend in the digital world, because digital world makes everything so much faster, right? Yeah, you might want to think about that. I don't have to elaborate on that, but everything's happens so much faster in digital world. You can take things done. For example, I'll give you an example. Just like meeting through Zoom, right? Instead of you going across the world, you're like, I'm flying from here, Indiana, to San Francisco to meet somebody. I can just do meeting through Zoom, right? Or like through WeChat or through like WhatsApp, right? But the point is, stuff get things done so much faster in the digital realm, right? Of course, there's time you want to meet the real person, like you want to engage the physical thing, right? But there are also many times you want to save time, right? You want to get things faster, so you use this digital realm, right? So that's one. Time is the most precious thing in the world right now, and two, it's cheaper. But that's for me. That's just my second reason. I think time is like the number one factor, right? It's precious, and then two, and then it's cheaper because people still value money, right? Because it's cheaper. Okay, I can save for the old, for the future, for my son, for my grandkids, whatever. So you want to save, right? So that makes sense. But yeah. So well, yeah. I guess that's it. Hopefully this helps, like to articulate why crypto is important, right? Because many people think like there's so many speculations going on right now. I think many people still doesn't understand what's the real value of crypto and what is crypto is all about and why do we need crypto, right? Because it seems, especially if you're living in like in the US or in a developed world, for example, in Europe or whatever, they don't see the value of crypto, to be honest. Like most of them, you have to live, for example, in a kind of say like developed world, for example, in like Indonesia, Philippines, like to appreciate it more, kind of, or you have to live in those areas where like in Venezuela, where the country has been like really mismanaged badly, right? The devaluation of their currency has been like going through the roof. But yeah, so okay, so thanks for listening. Let me know what you think. Hopefully this helps. See you next time.